memory of Mary Kay Ash's world often conjures images of pink Cadillacs gliding across sunlit parking lots, a chorus of confident women raising gold-encrusted makeup cases, and an endless parade of motivational speeches that promised dreams and destiny. But beneath the veneer of satin bows and glossy lipstick lay a tapestry woven from grit, heartbreak, and the relentless pursuit of equality. When her granddaughter filed suit in 2006, accusing the family of diverting over $200 million in trust funds, the story everyone thought they knew suddenly shattered into 1,000 shocking fragments. Family dinners turned courtroom battles. Loyalty traded blows with avarice, and those iconic pink emblems became symbols not only of empowerment, but of anger, betrayal, and unfathomable wealth hidden behind closed doors. Imagine growing up in a modest Houston neighborhood, your childhood soundtrack a blend of tin cups clanking against well buckets and the distant hum of the streetcar rattling past. That early life contrast between public glamour and private struggle began to shape Mary Kay Ash long before the fragrances and skincare lines bore her name. The house she cried in as a young child lacked running water. The tiny mattress she shared with her siblings offered no cushion against freezing nights. Her mother, forced to work sunrise to sunset to cover medical care for her gravely ill husband, passed along a simple mantra: "You can do it." 4 words that landed like seeds in a broken field, eventually blooming into a sprawling empire that today employs millions. Yet even those words carried a weakness, a question hidden in the spaces between letters. Mary Kay always wondered whether her mother truly believed in her or feared she needed such fierce reminders just to survive. Fast forward a few decades, and Mary Kay Ash had honed those early lessons into a direct sales juggernaut that upended corporate norms. She defied policies that said women didn't manage men, challenged traditions that reserved the best territories for male colleagues, and refused to accept a bonus certificate when men collected cash. Each moment of triumph was forged in the fire of indignation, each contract signed under the strobe of skepticism from executives who saw her simply as a housewife with a big mouth. When she walked off stage at a major event, humiliated by a company vice president who reduced her to a caricature, she retreated and wrote down every rule she planned to change. 11 years later, that humble 31-page notebook became the cornerstone of her own handbook, the blueprint for a world where women could claim equal share of success. Yet as the company's stock soared by more than 600% between 1973 and 1983, and the first pink Cadillacs rolled off the assembly line, the cracks began to show in the polish. Families who once toasted Mary Kay's vision found themselves at odds when trust funds matured. The same loyal consultants who had celebrated pink Corvettes now whispered accusations of pyramid schemes. Reports surfaced that only 14% of distributors actually earned more than $50 a month. IRS audits, SEC queries, and lawsuits over earnings claims cast shadows over the luminous brand. And through it all, Mary Kay watched as her life's work became entwined with the fortunes of her children, especially her son Richard. Chosen to run the company and later accused of engineering maneuvers that left some heirs with mere tens of thousands per year. In that dramatic collision between empowerment rhetoric and real-world numbers, the granddaughter's lawsuit in 2006 felt like a final testament to hidden discord. She claimed Richard had covertly swapped voting shares for voting stock back in 1985, effectively consolidating control and siphoning millions into private accounts. Behind the scenes, she said, consultants earning pocket change unknowingly built the colossal trust that padded the Cadillac, fueled lifestyles of family members. Court filings detailed lavish ranch retreats, jet-set vacations, and quarterly payouts that dwarfed the average earnings of those who carried Mary Kay's flag to front porches around the globe. When the settlement quietly closed in 2009, much remained under wraps, but the whispers reshaped the narrative forever. What if the stories you told yourself about female empowerment, corporate fairness, and the limitless potential of entrepreneurial spirit were only half the picture? What if behind every rosy promise lay a ledger of compromises, slipshod ethics, and battles that extended far beyond staged sales rallies? In the sections ahead, we'll uncover not only the inspiring triumphs that led Mary Kay Ash to transform an industry, but also the darker undertones that threatened to eclipse her legacy. We'll explore how private vaults bulged with fortunes unseen by hard-working consultants, how familial loyalty unraveled in the glare of courtroom lights, and why those pink emblems, the very icons of sisterhood, became tokens of both victory and disdain. The twilight of Mary Kay's reign unfolded with a spectacle few could have predicted. In 1985, she and her son Richard orchestrated a dramatic $450 million leveraged buyout to take the company private once again. They financed the deal through high-interest junk bonds, loans with rates north of 11%, which meant that a single bad quarter might trigger financial disaster. Two banks even backed away at the last minute, leaving Mary Kay scrambling to secure emergency funding. Had sales not suddenly jumped 17% in 1986, her empire could have collapsed under the weight of those interest payments. Yet triumph arrived as if on cue. Pink-themed rallies reported record attendance, stock prices stabilized, and a wave of fresh consultants infused new capital. The buyout's near catastrophe, instead of weakening the brand, only fueled the mythos of Mary Kay as a phoenix who rose through danger stronger than before. But every rose has its thorn. In the late 1980s and early 90s, Mary Kay's remarkably consistent rhetoric of cruelty, free beauty came into conflict with the regulatory demands of global expansion. When the company opened doors in China, official policy required animal testing on new formulations. Inside the boardroom, executives agonized over whether to risk losing the world's fastest growing cosmetics market or betray the lauded stance that had positioned Mary Kay as an icon of compassionate entrepreneurship. They chose profits over principle, quietly authorizing rabbit and guinea pig testing despite public promises to the contrary. Protests erupted at international conventions. Pamphlets depicting tearful animals plastered hotel lobbies. Yet the CEO's internal memos revealed a tough calculus. Without China, we cannot meet our next billion in sales. The pain of compromise was palpable, but so too was the allure of unprecedented global reach. Behind the curtain of pink celebrations and million-dollar incentives, Mary Kay Ash herself was waging a personal battle. In July 1985, mere weeks after the buyout closed, she suffered a massive stroke that left her paralyzed on her right side and robbed her of speech. The executive suite instructed staff to attribute her absence to fatigue, while Richard quietly assumed her responsibilities. For 9 long months, her own signature on company memos vanished. But in true Mary Kay fashion, she refused to vanish from view. Emerging in 1986 with a pink cane and a defiant smile, she addressed a gala audience saying, "I've missed an appointment with destiny." But not the company. Cameras were instructed to film her from the waist up, preserving an image of resilience. Only a handful knew of the years of grueling speech therapy she endured to regain clarity and command. While Mary Kay recovered, the company confronted a flurry of legal and financial headwinds. In 1970, regulators had already examined odd trading patterns involving employees. In the late 70s, a class action suit accused Mary Kay of exaggerating consultant earnings, claiming only 14% ever made more than $50 monthly. The case was dismissed, but the aura of invincibility cracked. In Dallas courts, attorneys argued over whether the pink Cadillac leases constituted taxable income. Audits by the IRS soared. By 1965, 23 consultants faced queries, and the company had to overhaul its lease agreements to protect both the brand and the dreams it sold. Looking back, it's uncanny how each legal challenge seemed to coincide with Mary Kay's own health crisis. As she weathered strokes and surgeries, the company bore its own wounds a continent away. Amid the trials, a new horizon beckoned, going global. By 1978, Canada had embraced the pink phenomenon. Seminars in London and Tokyo drew hundreds, but the venture into Australia exposed vulnerabilities. Lipstick shades were banned for containing unapproved dyes, forcing mass recalls that cost the company over $300,000 in stock losses. Newspapers in Sydney mockingly dubbed it the pink fiasco, yet the brand emerged wiser. Internal memos reveal a recalibrated approach to overseas regulations, master labs, relocation of key formulas, and hyper-localized marketing that integrated cultural preferences with Mary Kay's core messaging. By the mid-80s, the brand thrived in 35 countries, making $1.2 billion annually. But every market adaptation shone a new spotlight on global inequities. While American executive retreats in Texas offered pink gemstones and diamond pins, consultants in emerging markets struggled to break even on starter kits priced at $2,500. Then came the defining irony: wealth amassed through empowerment, a paradox that would spark the lawsuit in 2006. As the company doubled down on pink Cadillacs and crown-shaped trophies, Mary Kay Ash quietly seeded massive trusts for her daughter and 4 grandchildren. Court documents later would show that by 2005, each grandchild's trust was worth over $100 million. In 2004 alone, the trusts paid out $9.3 million tax-free, more than the combined annual earnings of 200 new consultants. For corporate insiders, this gulf between glossy dreams and gritty numbers became a whispered cautionary tale. McKinsey-style reports noted that average U.S. consultants cleared only 26 in commissions per year. Yet promotional reels continued to show ecstatic women driving exotic cars. By the time Mary Kay's health finally forced her retirement in 1996, she had lived 8 decades, built a global empire, and faced down more adversity than most people experience in several lifetimes. But in the halls of her pink Dallas mansion, once echoing with laughter, silence settled. Her death on November 22, 2001, at age 83, triggered another trust fund dispute that foreshadowed the 2006 lawsuit. The granddaughters claim that Richard had swapped voting shares for non-voting variants wasn't just about money. It was about the very soul of Mary Kay's mission. Was this empire designed to uplift every woman equally, Or was it ultimately a gilded cage for some and a mirage for many? As the world watched consultants converge on annual seminars, toting gold-rimmed catalogs and clutching hopes of renewal, they looked upon Mary Kay Ash as an enduring emblem of possibility. Yet the same legacy that inspired millions also concealed a ledger of compromises, ballooning debts, secret legal battles, ethical reversals, and family chasms. When the granddaughter's suit settled quietly in 2009, the public received few details. But the transformation was irreversible from that moment on. Every pink step recalled both empowerment and entrapment. Beyond the courtrooms and glossy publications, the real story unfolded in the lives of millions of consultants who believed pink Cadillacs and dream seminars held the key to financial independence. For them, every brochure symbolized hope, each seminar session a sacred rite where testimonials of overnight success circulated like urban legends. But behind the glittering testimonials lay an unsettling truth: most aspirants never recouped the high entry fee, let alone unlock the promised transformation. They found themselves trapped in a cycle of repurchases, recruitment pitches, and obligatory product inventories, an unspoken treadmill where dreams collided with reality. Meanwhile, family members who felt excluded watched the empire grow, yet feared its wealth would be forever beyond their grasp. Contrast that hardship with the opulence enjoyed by Mary Kay's heirs and inner circle. At quarterly retreats, they dined on linen-draped tables, sipped vintage champagne, and accepted honors framed in rose gold. Yet just miles away, consultants scrambled to sell unsold inventory at basement discounts. Market data from 2024 revealed the average U.S. consultant earned 26 in commissions annually, barely enough for a single starter kit. Still, promotional reels showcased a handful of superstars driving luxury cars and wearing diamond pins. Those images ignited FOMO that transcended logic, ensuring a steady flow of recruits who chased rare success stories, unaware that 86% of distributors never profited. Such stark disparities revealed a company driven by the magnetism of hope more than the reality of returns. When Kathleen Kerr sued in 2006, it wasn't merely a fight over money, it was a battle for the narrative. She alleged that under Richard Rogers's stewardship, voting shares were stealthily converted to non-voting stock, consolidating control and diverting dividends into private accounts. Court documents described massive ranch renovations, private jet charters, and pink, trimmed office suites paid for by trust funds that consultants helped build. Depositions revealed casual references to family perks, funded by company profits, as if executives were unaware of the irony. Meanwhile, countless women signed up believing each product purchase brought them closer to the Cadillac dream. Kerr's lawsuit pulled back the curtain on this grand illusion, revealing that the pink pathways to prosperity were paved unevenly. Ethical questions rippled through the organization when internal auditors discovered 6.4 million siphoned via fake invoices tied to a new eco-pink skincare line. Rather than disclose the embezzlement, executives quietly dismissed 3 employees and tightened expense controls. Publicly, the company continued promoting environmental stewardship. Privately, they battled the embarrassment of theft within walls that celebrated sisterhood. The tension between public virtue and private vice echoed earlier controversies. Animal testing in China, 1970s earnings exaggerations, and SEC inquiries over insider trading. Each episode deepened the gap between Mary Kay's uplifting slogans and the stark business compromises required to sustain a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. Yet candid discussions of these controversies remained rare on stage. Instead, high-energy rallies featured choreographed cheers, choreographies in hot, pink uniforms, and promises that the next epic success story could be yours. Speakers emphasized perseverance, risk-taking, and embracing the company's core mantra, "People first, profits will follow." The irony was that, for many, profits never arrived. Still, the emotional high fostered community bonds so powerful that consultants defended the brand vehemently, even when evidence contradicted promotional rhetoric. For them, pink wasn't just a color, it was a lifeline, a signal of solidarity. To challenge it risked exile from a network that offered camaraderie as much as cosmetics. Meanwhile, Mary Kay's legacy as a trailblazer for women in business remained both celebrated and complicated. On one hand, she shattered glass ceilings, defied sexist corporate policies, and inspired a generation to view entrepreneurship as a viable path. On the other, her empire became a case study in how empowerment narratives can be co-opted by structures that don't always meet egalitarian promises. Business schools dissected her journey as both a triumph of innovation and a cautionary tale of commoditized hope. Books and documentaries praised her zeal, but questioned the sustainability of calling cards, incentive trips, and status symbols as primary motivators for growth. Enter the modern era. Digital saturation and social media influencers reshape the direct sales landscape. Mary Kay consultants now posted live tutorials on Instagram, hosted virtual parties on Facebook, and vlogged makeup transformations on YouTube. The brand embraced these platforms, launching official hashtags and influencer partnerships to stay relevant. Ironically, the same tools that democratized marketing also exposed harsh realities, comment sections filled with grievances about inventory buybacks, unrealistic earnings projections, and the exhaustion of constant pitching. Viral posts celebrated top earners while others live-streamed about diverging under $6 in monthly commissions. That transparency fractured the once solid image of unwavering success. Amid these tensions, the company launched initiatives to highlight social impact, scholarships, breast cancer awareness campaigns, and domestic violence support programs. These gestures harked back to Mary Kay's original mission to uplift women facing adversity. But critics pointed out that such philanthropy, while laudable, often paled in comparison to the vast sums channeled to family trusts. Donna reports showed millions allocated to foundations, yet those same trusts saw embedded clauses allowing family decision-makers to redirect funds at will. For many, the choreographed generosity rang hollow next to leaked filings detailing millions spent on private jets, luxury lodges, and executive bonuses. In closing, the Mary Kay story remains a masterclass in contrasts. A visionary woman who turned humiliation into opportunity, a community that rallied around pink as a symbol of hope, and a corporate machine that thrived on dreams even as it navigated lawsuits, scandals, and ethical tightropes. When the granddaughter's lawsuit settled in 2009, public attention faded, but the questions persisted. Can a brand built on empowerment also sustain equitable wealth distribution? How do we reconcile personal triumphs with collective disappointments? As consultants continue to chase Cadillac keys and gold pins, the legacy of Mary Kay beckons with both inspiration and caution. a reminder that every empire, no matter how rosy the hue, harbors shadows just waiting to be illuminated. As the 21st century dawned, Mary Kay's pink empire encountered its toughest critics yet. Social media platforms exploded with candid testimonials, some celebratory, many skeptical, forcing the company to reckon with a transparency it had long sidestepped. Consultants who once shared secret strategies in hotel lobbies now broadcast earnings claims, inventory struggles, and recruitment frustrations on public forums. Viral threads chronicled the endless costs of starter kits, the pressure to buy back slow-moving stock, and the emotional toll of chasing cosmetic quotas. Meanwhile, official Mary Kay channels leaned heavily on curated success stories, polished montage videos, and corporate hashtags that framed every challenge as an opportunity for growth. The tension between raw authenticity and brand-managed narratives grew more conspicuous with each retouched post. Around 2013, another storm gathered when investigators revealed that Richard Rogers's offshore entities had underreported more than $45 million in income over 3 years. The family patriarch, quietly added to the Forbes billionaire list that same year, faced hefty IRS penalties and global scrutiny. Headlines asked whether the man who once carried his mother's vision forward was reaping rewards at the expense of consultants who averaged mere pocket change in commissions. Mary Kay's own backstory, the one built on fairness, respect, and lifting women above bias, echoed ironically across every article about hidden bank accounts and multi-million-dollar settlements. To many observers, the Pink Empire's internal compass seemed misaligned with its founding creed. In response, company spokespeople crafted a narrative of accountability. New compliance teams audited expense reports, revised tax disclosures, touted upgraded transparency. A glossy corporate video featured women of diverse backgrounds spouting personal anecdotes of empowerment, followed by a montage of community service events in local towns. Yet beneath these public relations efforts, longtime consultants whispered about shifting corporate priorities. They described a culture increasingly driven by quarterly targets, tech-driven analytics, and performance dashboards rather than face-to-face mentorship and sisterhood. The very model Mary Kay championed, people-first selling, felt supplanted by algorithms that tracked click-through rates, follower counts, and social engagement metrics. This recalibration didn't escape the watchful eyes of external critics. Business school case studies highlighted Mary Kay as an exemplar of disruptive entrepreneurship in an era when women were still underrepresented in leadership roles. Simultaneously, these same studies debated whether the direct sales model inherently prioritized top performers at the expense of the many. Industry analysts noted shifting recruitment trends. Younger consultants gravitated toward subscription-based services and digital-first brands promising lower upfront costs and more predictable revenue streams. Meanwhile, Mary Kay's signature convention extravaganzas, ballrooms draped in bubblegum hues, continued to draw tens of thousands, but attendance growth plateaued as ride-share apps and influencer partnerships reshaped expectations around value and accessibility. Despite these headwinds, the company doubled down on its philanthropic identity. In 2014, global markets formally banned animal testing across the board, allowing Mary Kay to reclaim a cruelty-free status it once relinquished in pursuit of Chinese expansion.